My dad has cancer right now. He has squamous cell sarcoma and he's going through chemo and radiation right now.
My grandmother had leukemia.
My uncle had cancer. Now he's doing a lot better.
My stepfather's father has an illness which they still get to decide what it is, and he's been ill for the past 5 years.
A person I know, he has like bipolar issues.
My grandma was like really sick with cancer. It was really hard.
My mom's friend is really, really ill, and I always pray for her.
My mom, actually, she's got MS. Luckily, my mom's just strong enough to, fight through all that.
My grandma was 103 and she died a couple years ago and she was really ill.
My grandfather, he was like really sick and he passed away.
My aunt was really ill from cancer and she passed away 2 years ago.
Well, I lost my grandfather to cancer.
Have you ever known someone who is seriously ill?
Sometimes it's a person that we really didn't know too well.
But for many of us, it's a grandparent, a next-door neighbor, or a friend at school, someone we know and love.
It can be terrifying to find out the news, and it can make us feel helpless and emotionally upset or confused.
When someone you love is ill, that's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jess.
And I'm Kenny.
And this is Real Faith TV. The teens on the street all knew people close to them who had struggled with illness.
We'll talk with them a little later in the show, as well as meet our studio guest.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Caitlin. She'll share with us how she dealt with a serious illness in her family.
Let's hear her story now.
My father was diagnosed with leukemia 2 years ago, and it was very serious. He was in the hospital for 9 months, and he had a stroke, which paralyzed the left side of his body, and he still can't use it today. It was a very hard battle, and there was a lot of serious times when we thought he was going to pass away. And sometimes he couldn't speak or write or eat. It was also very hard for my dad because he was always really healthy and he was very active with my brother, and he was really upset and frustrated a lot because he wanted to become better, and it was really hard for him to not be able to participate in the same things anymore. But I'm very proud of him because he's come a long way, and now he's able to drive and work. And he went through a lot of rehab too, and still goes to rehab once a week. He's all good and strong now. Can do almost everything he was able to do before. So we're able to talk about a lot of stuff now because a lot of stuff was more opened when he was sick. I became closer with my family and my dad and closer to God, and it gained a certain faith that I wouldn't have experienced otherwise.
Yeah, like what Caitlin was saying, my grandfather was also really sick and he was bedridden, so a lot of things that we used to do together just kind of stopped. And it wasn't even gradually, it just stopped all at once, and it was hard for me, because everything that I was used to doing with him, going outside, having a catch or whatever, we couldn't do anymore, and it was really hard.
I know what you mean. Sometimes when someone's sick, you lose them almost before they really pass away, or before you even have an opportunity to make peace with them. That's why I think you always have to go forth and make sure you put forth that extra effort to keep that relationship strong.
Well, let's see what our studio guests have to say about this.
Okay, they are Ijama, Chris, Jackie, Tiffany, Nick, Bridget, Christina.
So do any of you have a loved one who is ill?
My grandfather right now, he's recovering from prostate surgery. And I was praying that he would undergo a successful surgery, and he did. And now there's complications arising after the matter, so it really affects you.
My grandfather was just diagnosed with lung cancer, so.
My dad had Alzheimer's disease, and it was really hard to communicate and be around and with him. I wanted to, but it was hard, and I was scared to as well.
My father recently had surgery to remove his prostate cancer, which he was diagnosed with in October of last year.
My grandma, she has arthritis, and out of nowhere her hand will just hurt, and she'll be in pain, and I won't know what's happening. It's scary sometimes.
My mom suffers from a list of things, and in combination, they challenge her every day and stop her from doing normal everyday things.
Yeah, fortunately I don't have anyone close to me who's ill, but I know people who my mom's friend who have been ill, and I've seen her struggle through the pain that it causes her.
Watching someone you love suffer through an illness is hard, and there are many ways we can respond.
When we are faced with difficulty, we can have what biologists call a fight or flight response to stress.
We either wrap ourselves in denial and refuse to think about the problem we are facing, or we simply avoid it.
This might mean not wanting to talk about it, refusing to see or visit the person with the illness, or making ourselves too busy to get involved.
On the other hand, the fight response can help us to not only support the person we love by being present and caring for them, but by using a difficult situation to create a positive response.
Next, we asked the teens on the street how they responded to their situations.
And whether or not their relationship changed with the person who was ill.
I tried to help him, but like, didn't work out. We just stopped talking, stopped being friends, and we just went our separate ways.
I'm more supportive than anything. If I'm there for him if he ever needs me.
I was very supportive. She lived with us.
Very supportive. My whole family was.
I backed off. I really let my dad do his own thing. Like, I don't have a good relationship with him.
I was extremely supportive. I tried to like make her less stressful, maybe clean my room once in a while, make her happy, do the laundry, dishes, and she's always there for me, so our connection definitely grew stronger.
We got a lot closer because from the looks of it, he was dying, but then he actually had a recovery, so we're still close.
I've always been close with her, but I've learned to value her and respect that she might not be here for as long.
It made me a stronger person, but it's rough watching someone die.
I visited her in the hospital as much as I could, even though it was kind of hard for me to see her in that condition.
What was the most difficult part for you?
Just like seeing her like that and not being able to do anything about it personally.
In that situation, the fact that I was losing somebody I loved.
Finding out that like he only has that time to live.
The most difficult part would probably be knowing that he can leave us anytime soon.
Worrying that it'll come back and I'll lose her.
Yeah, like what some of the teens were saying, like when my grandfather was ill, you know, we tried to go down and visit him like whenever we could. So, and I would just spend hours like talking to him. We like watch old cowboy movies, like that was his favorite. So I do like whatever I could to really just like be with him and like through his tough times. So what has your response been when dealing with someone that is ill?
And how has it impacted your relationship with him or her?
It's not an added responsibility, but it's something you take on, whether it's doing the laundry or doing dishes like the teen on the street said, or making sure the person takes their pill because they have to take so many in a day. I think for me, I step up or I make sure that I'm there, whether they want me there or not, and that I care for them in the best way possible.
I agree with you how you were saying I step up. It's definitely like when someone goes into that state of illness, it shows you how precious life can be, and you want to take advantage of that time where like it's dwindling down and you want to make every moment worth it.
Well, I know when my dad was sick with Alzheimer's, I wish I was able to have that response. I was, like we said before, we were talking about fight or flight. I was 100% flight. I wanted nothing to do with the situation. I didn't want to be around the illness because I was scared. I didn't want to have to face the fact that my dad was going through this really serious thing. And the more time I spent away from him, the more angry I got. And I got angry at him. And that sounds really dumb, but I was like, how dare you get sick? Like, why would you do that to me? Like, I took it personally. And, you know, thankfully, in the end, when the illness did get really bad, I was able to face it and I was able to talk to him, but by then, my dad, most of his mind had deteriorated and he was having a hard time talking, and I missed out on a lot of times that I could have had with him, and it's probably one of my biggest regrets.
I was the opposite of you. When I found out that my grandpop was sick, I started spending a lot more time with him, and I realized that he could pass away at any time, so I thought that I should spend time with him and be with him.